I hope that you're doing well. There are a bunch of you I haven't heard from in a really long time. I haven't seen you at office hours. I haven't had a lot of contact with you. So I really hope you're doing well. I hope that everything is going okay. And especially this week, as we get into our lesson, um, if something is challenging for you and you've gone through the lesson and the notes and all that kind of stuff and you're confused, please come to office hours. I am here to help and just ready to be a resource for you if you need it. So let's look at what we've got going on this week. We are diving into one of my very favorite topics, which is heredity, like genetics, how we pass traits from one generation to the next, and then these fun little things called Punnett squares, and they're almost like a game. So if you like Sudoku or these other games of logic, then you'll really love Punnett squares this week. So I hope that you have fun with this and enjoy this. We're going to be working in our folder in Schoology that's called 4.5 and 4.6. There's kind of two parts to our lesson this week. One is exploring heredity and getting a little bit of background information so that we can understand what's happening with these little Punnett squares that we're going to be doing. Over the last few weeks, we have been in the land, or I should say classes, over the last few, weeks for you guys, you're online. We've been in the land of natural selection and artificial selection. And one of the things that I was curious to hear from you was, and you can put this in the discussion in the comments after you finish watching this video, but I was very curious to hear what you thought was the most interesting animal adaptation that you saw. So talking about natural selection and how organisms that are better adapted to their environment are more likely to survive and reproduce. So I'm interested to hear the animal adaptation that you found the most interesting. And then I'm also curious for artificial selection. This is where humans are selecting the traits that are going to be passed on to the next generation. So we're like specifically breeding plants and animals for traits that we desire. And in those examples, what did you think was the most interesting example of artificial selection? So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that. In my face-to-face classes, we have had amazing discussions and a lot of like mind-blowing stuff going on. So hopefully you are experiencing that too on your end. If there's anything that you found super interesting that you'd love to hop on office hours and chat about, I would love to have that discussion with you. This week, like I said, though, we're focusing on now, we've talked about with natural selection and artificial selection, how certain traits are chosen and passed on to the next generation, either by nature or humans. So now we're going to look at like, how does that happen on a genetic level? So we're going to be going over to Schoology, and we're in Unit 4, and the folder this week is going to be 4.5 and 4.6. One of the first things that I have for you guys to do this week is a short quiz. This is 10 questions, open notebook, on reproduction types and natural selection. So that will be the first thing that I have you do. Then, to get a preview of heredity, I'm going to have you guys go into Schoology, and I'm going to have you watch a short video tutorial in Edpuzzle on heredity. Once you have done that, then you will go into your notebook, and on slides 16 through 21 is where we're going to have a place for some notes. We're going to have notes on heredity. Then in these slides, let me see if I can just pull these slides up for you really quickly. I should have done that, and I did not. You can see how horrible my drive is. So basically, as you go through these different slides, we are going to be looking at heredity and Punnett squares. So here's a really great example of actually Mrs. Rich's family. So this isn't my family, but this is actually our other science teacher, Mrs. Rich, a little demonstration of how traits are passed down in her family. So one of the things that is a trait that can be inherited from one generation to the next is hairline. You can have either a widow's peak or you can have a straight hairline with no widow's peak. And you can see that of her three siblings. Of these three siblings, two of them inherited a widow's peak and one of them did not. So this lesson is all going to be about how, like, what kinds of traits can be inherited, and then how is that actually like happening. So we're going to get started, like I said, with this Edpuzzle on heredity. So you'll have to go to edpuzzle.com, log in with student, log in with Google, and check that out. Then these slides are going to take you through just some basic information and background knowledge that you'll need. There are a lot of slides here, but a lot of these slides are just visual references, not something that you're necessarily like writing down in your notebook, but just things to give you visual references. And I try, especially for you guys who are online and not getting to be with me face to face, I'm really trying to give you lots of visuals and examples to help these concepts really solidify. Once you get through the heredity part of the lesson and you get some, basically vocabulary, then there is another Edpuzzle for you to watch to begin learning how to work out Punnett squares. I have never had to teach genetics to an online class before, and so this is probably one of the most challenging lessons to put together for an online class. This is how you are going to learn how to work out Punnett squares. This video is going to walk you through all of it. And then you have some practice video examples. So there's going to be a practice problem that they work out in the video. And I actually have a spot for you guys to put this example in your notes so that you have an easy reference to go back to. There's another example that you'll work through. You'll work through that in your notes. Okay. So you'll go through the slides. Now, the best way to do this is basically to quiz yourself. And so if you put this into presentation mode, then you will actually be able to go through this step by step. And this is the number one best way to figure out what is going on. So you'll read through the scenario and then try to figure out, well, what do I need to put in all of these different boxes? And so you can do it and type it in your notes, and then you can move forward on this slide to check your answers. Okay. So it's all there for you. Like if you wanted to just go in and fill out your notebook with this information, you could, but that's not actually going to be the best thing to help you learn. So I would highly recommend that you put that in presentation mode and work through that, like quizzing yourself to kind of see like, well, what am I getting and what am I not getting? And if you're stuck, then write that down, like write down where you're getting stuck so that you can come to office hours and I can help you out. The last thing that I have for you this week is a 3-question, actually, I guess it's technically 4-question Punnett square practice worksheet, and that is in Schoology for you. So if you go over here and we're in our 4.6, 4.5, 4.6 folder, here is the Punnett square practice. And so basically the idea is by the time you've gone through the Edpuzzle and then the practice in your notebook, then these are going to be practice problems that you're going to be submitting to me so I can see how you're doing on this. If you get into this worksheet and you are having a hard time, because it's basically going to be set up just like what you had in your notes. If you're having a hard time, then please come to office hours and get help. This week especially. If you are confused, if you're having trouble, then come see me. Okay, so that takes us through everything for the week. Let me just kind of make sure. I've actually kind of listed out the order that I would recommend doing things for you. And so, like I said, try it out, go through your Edpuzzles and your notes, work through those problems in your notebook. And if you need any assistance, I'm right here to help you out. Come to office hours and I would be happy to see you. Okay, guys, have a great week. I look forward to seeing you soon and hearing from you. I hope you're doing well. Bye.